Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well. It's finally here, the preview for one of our biggest games of the season. It's Manchester United versus Chelsea at Old Trafford, and you would think that this would maybe be a game that we don't want to play. You know, it's United at Old Trafford. Realistically, this could be a blessing in disguise because Man United at home have been very dodgy, but Chelsea in 2020, you never know. You just never know. So maybe United might get the upper hand. This is honestly how our season's been looking. But do we have what it takes to take it to United and grab 3 points? Absolutely. And I'm going to get into all the details to try and see how we do that. Now, before we get into everything, subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. And make sure you're following me on Twitch. Yes, I am streaming there regularly. If you haven't seen already, where have you been? But yeah, FIFA career mode is mad. Yesterday we had a very good day. My next stream will be on Sunday, so make sure you're there for it when I go live. Now, let's get into it. Man United versus Chelsea. A bit of team news before we get into the details of how I would shape up the starting 11, who would I play, who I wouldn't, and how do we beat United. I want to give you guys some team news. We've got one name missing, and I know some of you are probably going to be really happy at this one. I don't like to celebrate injury. You know, when someone's injured, they're injured. Good luck to him, and I hope they recover. But I just know that there's definitely some of you out there that are probably, you know, cheering and celebrating right now. Kepa is out. Yes, Kepa is out. Kepa has a shoulder problem. He won't be in the squad. So yeah, keep your celebrations to a minimal, please. I mean, you know, an injury is an injury. I don't wish that on anyone. And I've said this in a previous video. I'm not going to scapegoat Kepa. It's clear that our team has an entire defensive problem, right? There's a defensive issue in the entire team and the way that we set up. That's not just down to Kepa. Yes, he's contributed. He's made some flipping blunders that I want to put his head through a wall. But that's not the sole purpose as to why we've been looking really dodgy at the back. And I don't want to just put the blame on Kepa. And I think we can all agree that now. Because before it was just, you know, Kepa. But now we've all come to a consensus where we've gone, yeah, you know what? As a team, we're not defending properly. Except for our last game against Sevilla, where we looked more solid. But the problem was, again, we had a flip of balance. Before, it was, you know, attack and no defense. And against Sevilla, it was defense and no attack. How about we combine the two, yeah? How about we try and bring both worlds together? That way we have some proper structure. That way we can attack and we can defend. We have it in the team. We really have what it takes. It's just, we're just not executing it. And why? Well, I'm going to get into all of that at the end of the video, how we should set up to beat Man United. But let's get into the lineup. How would I start in terms of the Chelsea starting 11 against Man United? I would go with this. So, goalkeeper. It's not Kepa. He won't be there. So it's Edouard Mendy. Edouard Mendy, our number one goalkeeper. And I know what some of you are thinking. Petr Cech's going to be on the bench. No. Petr Cech is not going to be there as a player. He is going to be there, but as a board member. So yeah, he's not there as in a playing capacity. Frank Lampard did outline that in the press conference. So don't get too excited if you see Petr Cech in the stands. He won't be featuring. I would set up with a 4-2-3-1. I did tell you that I believe our best 11 is the 11 that we had in the last 25 minutes against Sevilla. That is our best 11, according to me, if we stick with a 4-2-3-1. I think the 4-2-3-1 can offer balance if you are utilising it correctly. And I think defensively we looked a lot better against Sevilla. We just need to wake our attack up, which is something that we didn't need to do this season. The Sevilla game was the only game where we had to do so. So hopefully against United we can get the best of both worlds. I would start off in a back four of Chilwell at left back, our best left back without question, so he starts. Right back, this is where I think one of two differences are going to occur between me and Lampard. Reece James played fantastic in midweek against Sevilla. I think we can all agree. One of the men of the match. Not the man of the match, but one of the best players on the pitch. I would like that to continue. And I think, you know, playing him against Man United would be beneficial. But I think Frank Lampard played Reece James against Sevilla so he could play Azpilicueta against Man United. And that's where I think he is going to play Azpilicueta. But if it were me, I would start Reece James. He offered everything for us defensively and offensively against Sevilla, and he played really well. Why not continue? You know, the one thing we need to utilise and one thing we need to remember is not to just pick players based on their names or who they are. Look, if you've played fantastic last game and you can keep that momentum, you're in for the next game. Simple as that. Unless if we have, a massive run of games and you physically cannot play every single game, cool, which is the case this season. But it's early on. We've had quite a few days of recovery. We played on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is the 4th day. He can play a second game in 5 days. He can do that. So I would say Reece James should start. That would be me. Centre-back, Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma. Now, I want to point something about Kurt Zouma. Just one point. Against Sevilla, he looked better than he did against Southampton, but it still wasn't good enough, in my personal opinion, as an individual performance. Defensively, as a team, we looked better, but his individual performance, he looked shady. He looked like he was nervy. He looked like he would get into a panic every time he got the ball, and he would just always go back. Like, you could see there just wasn't something right about him. He needs to calm down. Relax. Take your time. Relax. You are Kurt Zouma. You are a tank. You are a beast, mate. Play like one. Have the confidence and don't let anyone pass. Simple as that. That's your job. Do not let anyone pass and look forward for the option when you have the ball and you want to pass. Be calm and be composed. Whatever you do, not just in football but in life, you can only perform at your highest level if you are relaxed. If you're panicking, you're going to mess things up. That's human nature. So Zouma needs to just calm down a little bit. I believe him and Silva are our best centre-back pairing. So chill, relax and play your game. Simple as that. Now, as the two midfielders and the pivot, I would go, again, with the last 25 minutes against Sevilla, N'Golo Kante and Mateo Kovacic. No questions asked. Kante can, be the one to sit back, provide the support to the defence. Can press if he wants to, but not too high enough. If not, we end up with a massive gap in between midfield and defence, and I don't want that again. Kante can sit a little bit, and we done that against Sevilla. We tightened the gaps, and look at the amount of times we won the second ball. Much more than we did against Southampton. Much more. The only time that Sevilla were able to get into a half is when we were ball watching and watching them play football. We were watching them just pass the ball around and shift the ball from side to side. We were just allowing them to play. If we don't do that, right, and we close down and we're aggressive and we're intense, we play in the same way, we are going to create more chances, and I believe we can beat United. And we get to keep our defensive shape. So I think that's crucial. Kovacic is the one that's able to take the ball and drive and get in between the gaps and get in between the lines and create pockets of space for other players to run into while he attracts attention. And I think Kovacic can do that better than Jorginho. So for me, that's the perfect balance in midfield that we need, and that's what I would go with. In the number 10, Kai Havertz. No questions asked. Kai Havertz. I know he's looked a little bit off the edge recently, but match fitness is now under his belt. He's looking, good. He hasn't had any really poor performances. Let him get out of his shell. Let him get into his element. And I believe against Man United, especially with the defence that they have, he should be able to have a little bit more space to do what he does best. So I'm looking forward to Kai Havertz's performance. On the left wing, no questions asked. No, it's not Mason Mount. It's Christian Pulisic. You play him in his best position. You let him do what he does best. And I believe the left wing is where he does that. So I think he needs to start on the left wing. He's able to cut in, utilise his right foot, dribble, cut inside, combine 1-2, score goals, create assists. He can do all of that on his preferred left-hand side. So let him play there. On the right-hand side, now I would start Ziyech. But Frank Lampard did make it clear in the press conference that he isn't match fit, and he did explain why, and I appreciate the explanation. And this is where I have to say we need to be wary. We have opinions, we can criticise, but we need to be wary that we don't know the fine details because we're not the ones at the training ground. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. That's just the truth. Frank Lampard does, so to an extent, we need to trust his instinct. But Ziyech, even though he's looking good, Frank Lampard did explain in the press conference that the fact the Dutch season ended so early, he went like half a year with no football, on the back of that had an injury, then signed for Chelsea, and now he's playing Premier League football with no pre-season. That makes sense. That makes sense as to why he might not be 100%. But he's looked really good lately, and I'd like to believe he is 100% now. If he's going to start from the bench, I believe it's going to be one more time, and it's going to be against Man United. So if that is the case, we start with Callum Hudson-Odoi. And, why? Because he's a winger. If we're not bringing in players like Hudson-Odoi, when we have players like Ziyech out or Pulisic out, then what the hell have we got him for? We should have just sold him to Bayern Munich and take the 80 million. Simple as that. You know, he's there, utilise him. He has everything going forward. He's looked better defensively. The amount of times he's played this season, his defensive abilities have looked much better. His responsibilities coming back have looked much better. He's been able to press a lot higher, use a lot more energy. He's looked a lot more sharper. Offensively is where he needs to get a bit more confidence, and I believe he does that by playing. He does one good thing, he gets confidence from it. He hopefully gets a goal or an assist. He gets confidence from it. You don't get confidence from the bench. You just don't. So I think he needs to be utilised, but my preference would be to play Hakim Ziyech if he is 100% available. Up front, no questions asked, Timo Werner, and I think Timo Werner is going to be the man that hopefully wins us the game, and I'll explain why now. I believe the blueprint to beat Man United is there, especially at Old Trafford. They've looked really good away from home against Newcastle and against PSG. They looked fantastic. At home against Tottenham, they were all over the place. But why? The blueprint, I think, has been provided by our, we have to say, even though he's at Spurs, but our legend, Jose Mourinho. He did provide a blueprint on how to decimate Man United. I think at Old Trafford, there hasn't been much time for United to get over the mistakes that they made against Tottenham, especially at home. I think there are still going to be cracks and loopholes that we can exploit. And I think, how do we do that? Two things. We press high from the get-go. Do not allow them to get the ball into our half. Just don't allow it. And if it's a cross-field ball, we win in the air, we're good with second balls, and we're tight and compact, you know. Secondly, we have to be aggressive and we have to be intense. Tomorrow is going to be a physical game. Physical game. No questions. Has to be. Why? Because if you're not, you allow players like Rashford or Greenwood, you know, players with pace to be able to take the ball, run into spaces, utilise it, and then they get the advantage. Cut them off at the source. Do not let them get the ball. Look at Tottenham. Rashford didn't touch the ball. Like, he didn't touch it. He was absent. Greenwood, absent. Like, these players just, they weren't there. And from the get-go, Tottenham were aggressive, pressing really high, being very, very intense, winning the ball and making sure they won the ball. Do not be afraid to make the foul if you have to bring a player down. But they won the ball and look what they done. They managed to score. It's brilliant. Brilliant. And it's the blueprint. I think it's the blueprint. We have what it takes to be able to press high. We're a pressing team. We need to show more aggressiveness and a bit more intensity. And if we're doing that, that would be great. But in terms of technical ability, and when we are on the ball, that's another thing. We need to make sure that we utilize our possession. We keep the ball for ourselves and create chances. And unlike last season where we would create chances but we couldn't finish it off, your boy Timo Werner is up front now. And hopefully with a shady defence and a leaky defence that Man United have, like with Harry Maguire, Timo Werner, I think, is more than capable to not just score one, but to score more than one, two, maybe three tomorrow. And I think that's going to be where we win the game. Fingers crossed. We cannot allow space to United's attack. If we cut them off, I believe we're winning the game. If we prevent the ball from getting to players like Rashford, Greenwood, and if they do, we close them down quick and we're tight, we're winning tomorrow. So fingers crossed. But if we allow them the space and we're ball watching like we did in the first half against Sevilla, that's where I think we're going to get punished. So it just depends. It just depends how we're tactically set up and how the players are responding. Are we intense enough? Are we aggressive? If we are, we can get 3 points tomorrow. But that's how I would shape up. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Follow me on Twitch. FIFA Career Mode is doing an absolute madness. We went online yesterday. I did a live stream yesterday and we done all right. We won every single game. So it's going pretty well. Sunday will be my next stream. So make sure you are following me. And if you're following me already and you're able to subscribe, I would much appreciate it. In order to watch any past broadcasts, you have to be subscribed anyway. So if you can, that would be very, very beneficial. Thank you so much. And I'll see all of you after it's all said and done tomorrow. And hopefully we wrap 3 points from Old Trafford. Fingers crossed. And if we don't and we lose, then the pressure's on. It's as simple as that. The pressure's on at this point, and I'm going to be truthful and unbiased about it, and I'm going to say it as it is. If we don't win, actually, if we draw, it's not the end of the world, but if we lose, it's game on, and it's game on for all the wrong reasons. But let's be positive. We can win. We need to win. Let's go out there and get 3 points. Come on, Chelsea. Let's do it. I'll see you tomorrow after the game. Have a good one. Look after yourselves. Take care, and peace.